there's a dichotomy, money on the one side or meaning on the other side. And society tends to push you into one of those poles.
Right.
And it's very hard in society to be successful and tend to your inner life, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And business people tend to have a similar psychology, I've found. Maybe it's similar even to top sports people. I've noticed some similarities there.
Yeah.
So there's a one-dimensionality about them, and they're craving depth, but they've never found access to it.
Yeah, yeah. Some of my most high-functioning and I'd say privileged clients are really the most unhappy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think in one sense that it's the success of an early adaptation, that they probably had some trauma in their family? Maybe it wasn't narrativized, but maybe their mother was just anxious or working a lot. Something was there. And they decided, I'm going to work really hard to succeed, to get out of this, to get set up in a way that doesn't look like my family.
Right.
And then they bet everything on that, and they go all the way, and they really succeed.
Right.
But then they've invested all their efforts into a very narrow area, and there are lots of other things that haven't been attended to, maybe relationships, for instance.
Right, right. I like what you're saying. Yeah, I would say that that's true. I mean, I don't think that the myth of having it all is not quite true. I mean, it's just a myth. And if you spend all your time focusing on your career and achieving that external, like that achievement, other areas, I mean, frankly, suffer. You know, maybe your health, relationships. I think it's a zero-sum game. We have 24 hours a day. How many days are you focusing on your career versus your family, your own self-development, your own health? And often I find a lot of business professionals, and I would say highly successful business professionals, have something unresolved, and they're using business as a means to, there's a belief that being really successful in business is a way to heal. And once they kind of get close to that point, they still have those inner wounds. And so a client could be achieving success to create a better environment, or a client dealing with growing up with poverty and, using that as a drive to never feel the sense of starvation. But even that sense of wealth and abundance doesn't take away from that neglect or the scarcity of resources in the child. So there's like some emotional health wounds that have to be really addressed. It's interesting though, because I have, some of my, it's not to say that all business professionals are really unhappy. I just say that there's, I think when I've seen some senior executives, they're still dealing with anxiety, stress, burnout, depression, maybe a loss of meaning in their lives because they thought this was the meaning of their life, so they all come in shapes and forms.
I think that's so interesting what you said, that business people are using achievement to heal themselves in some sense, make themselves whole.
Yeah.
And so then they're trying to solve something with a solution that isn't designed to do that.
Right.
It's just not going to work.
Right.
Then on the other side, I work with a lot of creative people who have incredibly rich inner lives and haven't put points on the board, haven't moved their careers forward, struggle in terms of the outer life.
Why do you think that is? I'm so interested because I don't work with a lot of creatives. Why is that the case?
I think if you really do follow that inside out approach where you honor what's on the inside and you build off of it, it takes a lot of time to develop, and it's very complex, and you can get lost along the way, and it can be hard to build an actual crystallized life structure, especially if there's some patterns embedded in how you operate, such as dissociation and using substance and developing a really rich inner world that is a little bit separate to reality, that isn't very well integrated and grounded. often I've noticed creative people had a period of sickness when they were young. They were bedbound for a while, or they were withdrawn for some reason, and an inner life was given a chance to develop.
Wow. Yeah.
And so then those people with the inner life, I think when we can help them develop into the world and succeed, the world becomes much richer. Mm-hmm. So I think there are two categories that I'd notice a lot. I have a tagline actually for this.
What's that?
Helping the successful be soulful and the soulful be successful.
Ooh, I like that.